What is consciousness? Do the organs of the body, including the brain, continue working while we sleep? The answer is yes. But what about sleepwalkers? Clearly, all their organs are functioning. They see, speak, even walk. But, hello? Is anyone home? Or even more striking, some say that through voodoo magic people can be turned into zombies. They walk, see, hear, and follow commands. But again, hello? Is anyone home? What happens when a person wakes up from sleep? We say they need a moment to become conscious. So what is consciousness? Clearly, it is not a product of the brain. Consciousness is what is missing during sleep, and what returns when we fully wake up. Is the brain the source of consciousness? Some might argue, but that's just a different brain function. Let's test that. The brain is what generates thoughts, and sometimes it won't let us fall asleep at night. Thoughts keep flowing one after another. But who is the one that suddenly says, "Enough, let me sleep"? Then, as a new thought begins to form, after just a few words, something again interrupts. Stop! The thought is cut in half. It never fully forms. Who is stopping the brain from thinking? Clearly, something is observing the brain at work. Not only observing, but commanding. And sometimes it even calms it down. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Sometimes it encourages, go tell them what you think. I have a feeling they'll understand and won't get angry. Is there something above the brain? From this, we can conclude that there is an instance that is connected to the body and the brain, yet hierarchically above it. That is consciousness. What is consciousness? Consciousness is the ability to be aware of oneself and of reality. But what exactly does that mean? Let's explore how science, philosophy, and religion define consciousness. Science. In neuroscience, consciousness is generally described as the state of being awake and aware of one's environment, thoughts, and sensations. Some theories, like integrated information theory, IIT, suggest that consciousness emerges from complex systems that process information in a unified and irreducible way, such as the human brain. However, science still cannot explain how electrochemical activity in the brain gives rise to subjective experience, what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. Philosophy. Philosophers have debated consciousness for centuries. Descartes declared, "I think, therefore I am," making thought the foundation of existence. Others like David Chalmers argue that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of reality, not reducible to physical processes. In phenomenology, consciousness is the field in which all experiences occur. Everything we see, feel, think, or imagine happens within consciousness, not outside it. Religion and spirituality. Most spiritual traditions view consciousness as the eternal, immaterial essence of a being. In Hinduism, it is referred to as Atman, the soul that is one with Brahman, the universal consciousness. In Buddhism, it is the awareness that witnesses the impermanence of all things, including the self. In Christian mysticism, consciousness is the inner light or divine spark that connects man to God. Many traditions, both ancient and modern, scientific and spiritual, agree that there are two fundamental types of consciousness: subjective and objective. Subjective consciousness is filtered through the personal self, the body, the emotions, the thoughts, and the identity. Objective consciousness, on the other hand, transcends personal filters and is capable of observing not only the world, but also the self that is observing it. This distinction is present in Eastern philosophies, where the ego mind is seen as the limited self and pure awareness as the higher observer. Modern psychology, which distinguishes between the narrative self and the observing self. Quantum consciousness theories, where the observer effect implies the existence of awareness beyond matter. Even mystical religious traditions, where the soul is seen as capable of witnessing the personality, not being defined by it. Many traditions, both ancient and modern, scientific and spiritual, agree that there are two fundamental types of consciousness: subjective and objective. In the evolution of consciousness theory that I propose, this distinction between subjective and objective awareness serves as the foundation of a developmental path through which consciousness evolves across lifetimes. It is not merely a difference in perception, but a difference in identity. Two aspects of human consciousness. According to the evolution of consciousness model, human consciousness consists of two inseparable yet distinct aspects. Subjective consciousness, the level of awareness that identifies with the body, the personality, and the social identity. Objective consciousness, the level of awareness that is capable of observing the psyche, the ego, and the external world, without identifying with any of them. These two aspects are not separate entities, but rather two developmental stages of the same consciousness. As consciousness evolves, it gradually transitions from the subjective to the objective, not as a sudden leap, but as a process of inner growth. 1. Ego consciousness, subjective awareness. In this phase, consciousness is identified with the personality, the body, emotions, and mental content. Reality is experienced through internal filters. It is perceived through the lens of the self. I am this body. I am my thoughts. I am the role I play. This level of consciousness is necessary. Through the formation of a strong and integrated ego, consciousness becomes more stable and focused. 2. Higher self-consciousness, objective awareness. When subjective consciousness reaches its most developed form, a strong, disciplined, and integrated ego, objective consciousness begins to awaken, also known as the higher self. This awareness does not reject the ego or the personality. It simply recognizes them as parts of itself. At this stage, the developed human consciousness no longer experiences itself as the body, the mind, or the identity, but rather as a conscious presence that contains and observes them all. Once consciousness moves beyond the subjective phase and enters the objective phase, it realizes, I am a wave within the ocean of greater cosmic consciousness. I am not separate, but a part of the whole that moves, learns, and evolves through me. From fragment to wholeness. This movement, from subjective to objective consciousness, is a journey through which consciousness develops gradually, through life experiences, challenges, realizations, and introspection. It is a process that cannot be completed within a single lifetime. It requires many lifetimes to unfold fully. This is only the beginning of a deeper exploration. If this video has stirred thoughts, questions, or even subtle inner recognition, you're not alone. Consciousness is not something we define once and for all. It's something we discover layer by layer, through life, experience, and reflection. Feel free to share your thoughts or questions in the comments. How do you understand consciousness? Do you resonate more with the idea of subjective awareness, or the notion of something greater observing it all? Your insights might help someone else find clarity too. And in this shared space, we evolve together. Subscribe if you'd like to continue exploring this journey with me, one insight at a time.